Good evening and welcome to the Dick Lloyd Photography YouTube channel. This evening I'm going to go through a basic edit of a photograph of Robin Hood's Bay just off the coast of Yorkshire. We're going to do some basic edits, then we're going to do a sky replacement, and then we're going to do some final edits. The basic edits are going to be done in Lightroom, and the sky replacement is going to be done in Photoshop, and then the final edits again back in Lightroom. Okay, so let's get into it. This is the picture. We're in Lightroom. It's an unedited photograph. As you can see, all the sliders in there are 0. The only thing that's been done is on importing the photo, I've used a preset that automatically deals with removing chromatic aberration and enabling profile corrections based on the lens. So that's all done. So the basic editing. What I normally do is I look at the histogram, and I can see this one is very overexposed, particularly in the sky. The histogram stacked up on the right hand side suggests that. We'll put the markers on. It's not actually blown out, but it's very overexposed. Now, because the sky's overexposed, this actually seemed like a good one to select for doing a sky replacement, because even if the sky was edited, we'll show by using a graduated filter. If we edit the sky by reducing the exposure, you'll see that we can bring out some detail there, but it's a pretty boring sky even with the detail in the clouds. So we'll go back to how it was before without the graduated filter, and we'll just edit the remaining part of the image. Now the white balance is as shot. I'm going to use the picker, the colour picker, to select a neutral grey somewhere on these rocks. I think somewhere such as that one, and that's changed the white balance from 9,000 to 8,400 on the temperature scale. So that's done. Next thing I would do is I'll now ignore the sky here, but I'm going to increase the whites. I don't mind the sky being blown out because we're going to replace that. Actually, I can increase the whites with ease without worrying about the sky, and then reduce the blacks just to the point of showing some black in the image. I'm going to increase the shadows, and then reduce the highlights. That just adds contrast, and I'm also going to add a little bit of contrast to the image as well. I think another good thing to do here would be to add a little texture to these foreground rocks. So to do that, I'm going to use the adjustment brush, and I'm going to show the mask. I'm just going to brush in the surface of these rocks where they're being lit by the sky. I'm not too worried about the rocks that are in shadows, but certainly the top surface of the rocks I would like to add a bit of texture. Yeah, I think that's a decent selection. Get rid of the mask. I'm going to add some texture to that. Yeah. Yeah, that looks cool. Let's just zoom a little bit and see if we can see the texture. Yeah, that's added nice texture to the rocks. Now, I think the image is a bit overexposed, so I'm just going to reduce the exposure slightly. Yep, I'm now going to add a bit of vibrance, maybe up to about just over 20. Dehaze just a touch. Yeah, say about 11. I'm not going to touch saturation. I'm just going to go into the HSL sliders. I want to increase the luminance of those lights and yellows near the building, so I'm going to use the colour picker, and I'm just going to select that there, and that will increase the luminance of the yellows and oranges. And I think this one's more. Yeah, that's good. Don't think I'm going to touch the other sliders on there. I'm going to go into the detail panel to add some sharpening. Now, normally when we add sharpening, it's a good idea to zoom in on the photo so you can see the effect of the sharpening. So we'll find somewhere that has contrast and edges. Yeah, so somewhere like that building. So I'm going to increase the sharpening quite a lot. Yeah, about 90. But I'm also going to do some masking because I don't want to increase the sharpness in the sea or the sky. So I'm now going to zoom out. I'm going to do some masking of the sharpening so that it will only apply the sharpening to the areas that I want it. Now, the white areas are all receiving sharpening. So as I move the masking slider to the right, you'll see the sky has become black. The sea has very largely become black apart from the horizon line. And yeah, so the white areas now, with the masking set at 80, are the only parts of the image that receive that sharpening that I added. I'm going to add a little bit of noise reduction. Normally when you sharpen things, if there's any noise in the image, it will increase. So I've just added a little bit of luminance noise reduction. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the blue primary saturation significantly. Did you notice how the green grass down this left-hand corner just popped a bit more? I'll just show you the difference between 0 and then increase the blue saturation of the primary channel. See how the green pops? It's usually a good thing to do for making foliage and grass pop a little bit. And that's about it. Now, before we do the sky replacement, I'm actually going to further wash out the sky, because the sky replacement works better with an image that has a washed out sky. So I'm going to increase the exposure of the sky. I don't want to increase the exposure of other parts of the image, so I'm going to use the range masking here for luminance. So you'll see the areas that are red are the ones that are where this is being applied to the increase in exposure. So yeah, so we've now got back to the point of having a pretty overexposed sky. But this is actually a perfect image now for sky replacement.